Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Hooray! It's Monday in July. The weather out here in Maryland is absolutely beautiful and sunny, and I am so excited to be here with you. I am going to invite Mike Weiner, my Monday morning partner in crime, to join us. Here he is. I'm going to bring him onto the camera right. Morning, Mike, and good morning, Ross. I'm so excited that you guys are here this morning. The way to start the week. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hey, Julie, good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
I could not be better, and we are just having people pour in this morning. Hi, Ross, Jason, and Michelle. Thank you for being here with us today. This is so exciting. I love it. I love a Monday after a holiday because it reminds us, you and me, one more time, how awesome it is to work for ourselves and be an entrepreneur, right?
Absolutely. Amen.
Couldn't be better. So, Mike, you and I have been talking for the last couple of weeks about a bunch of really amazing. Lost you guys for a minute there. You and I have been talking about some really amazing topics over the last couple of weeks, but this morning we really decided on something strong. What did we decide on today?
We are going to talk about forecasting. We're at the halfway point for the year. So we're going to talk about forecasting for the next 6 months. I'm really excited about it. Got some great tips for everybody today.
That is absolutely correct. This is truly a Mike Weiner topic. I have actually heard Mike talk about forecasting many times, and this is something that is near and dear to his heart. My first question, Mike, is you and I have been in sales for a really long time, but when did you first get introduced? Was it a sales manager that you worked with who introduced you to the concept of forecasting? Was it a book you read? Where did this arrive from?
You know what? It's funny. I'm 53 years old, and exactly 30 years ago, when I was 23, I was in the office equipment industry selling thermal fax machines. Some of the viewers don't even know what that is. And I had a sales manager back in the day, Ron, and that's where I learned about forecasting. And we would, every Monday morning, we'd have the general sales meeting with all the sales reps. We had the big whiteboard that we talked about a week ago with everybody's numbers. And then right after that, we would meet with him individually. And I'd have a notepad, and we'd go through the forecast, and he would say, Mike, who's on your forecast? Who do you expect to close? And if I didn't know where the result was, if I couldn't say, I have no idea, he would actually pick up the phone and call Joe and say, hey, Joe, I'm Ron Granick. I'm Mike Weiner, sales manager. Mike said you guys were talking about, possibly getting a fax machine for him. Could I ask you a question? Sure. Where are we in the sales cycle right now? And he did this all by questions, and he did it very interactive. And it was absolutely 30 years later, I still remember that. And a lot of times, some of the sales managers, they're not as involved today. It's like they train people, they hire them, they throw them to the wolves, and they're out there. And that's where the Mike and Julia show really, I think, comes in to get them started, kind of as two, quote, sales managers getting everybody started. But that's where it started 30 years ago. And from there, every Sunday night, I would sit down and make a list of who I was working on every single
That's
week.
incredible.
And and I still do it to this day. I do it as far as my NRG business, as far as, my ASEA business, who do I expect to join? And it's amazing because you go through the week, and some people naturally disqualify themselves. Some you carry on for the following week. Some you move 3 months out, and some you've closed. And what people don't realize is when you close someone, when you serve someone and they become a client, they're off your forecast. Who are you going to replace them with? And that's the value of it. It can be a yes, a no, call me later, or whatever. And you have got to be working on that funnel so that the forecast is always strong. It's got to be strong, or
Beautiful.
you're gonna have ups and downs otherwise.
So I want to jump in real quick and say welcome to Deb and Sharon, and thank you to Michelle. Michelle's our rock star today. She shared our live in 11 groups. So if you're
Thank you,
watching
Michelle.
this live or if you're watching this in replay, thank you so much, and we really do appreciate the shares. Mike, I want to come back to what you were just talking about with forecasts. Quick question.
Yep.
You might know the answer. Where is that sales manager today? Because we should interview him.
I think he's down on a golf course. I think he retired. I'll try to reach out to him. If I can get him on a call, he was very
Boy, that'd be
instrumental.
great.
I'll see if I
Yep.
can reach. I think he's down in the Carolinas playing golf now. He's probably in his 80s now, but 70s or 80s. So I'll see what I can
That's
do.
cool.
Yep, yep,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Jason. Jason also shared our lives this morning. Thank you so much, Jason,
Awesome.
for sharing the lives on your pages too. So Mike and I actually have a great little agenda here for today, and I really do want to stick to it. So the first question, which is really brief, is what is a forecast? And Mike just kind of explained that to us. A forecast is identifying the people that you are working with to bring them to become a customer of yours. So Mike and I don't think necessarily about selling to someone or selling at someone. We like to join in partnership with people so that we can develop a relationship over time. And to work with people and keeping them our customer over time. So the first thing is to itemize or list out who you are working with and where they are in their decision making process. That's the first part of a forecast. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the second part of the forecast is the list of what you believe they will be, how they will be becoming happily involved, to quote Tom Hopkins. How will they be becoming happily involved, meaning what will they be purchasing? And then how much will their involvement be? In other words, how much money they were expected to be purchasing from you. So in the terms of fax machines, Mike might be talking to ABC company. They might be becoming happily involved, say on Thursday this week, with 10 thermal fax machines at a cost of $100 per thermal fax machine would be $1,000. Is that generally what a forecast looks like, Mike?
Yeah, you hit all the points. The only one I would add in there is a deadline, because you got to have, with a forecast, there's got to be a deadline. It's got to be, it's on the
That was the
forecast
first thing
a
I
month.
said.
Did you say
That was
that?
the first.
All
I
right. So
said on Thursday they will become happily involved.
okay. All right. Well, and I think the other thing is that it's got to be in writing. It's no good up in
Oh,
your brain. People do that all the time. So you want to have a very, written out forecast. By the way, the thermal faxes back in the day were about 2 grand, but that's okay. Some of them were higher.
I know. I just didn't want to blow people out of the water, but can you imagine a thermal fax machine? Okay, so this is
I remember.
a brief digression, but I was watching something on TV the other day, and they were talking about VCRs, and you know what
Oh,
it was? It was actually Jeopardy, and they were talking about VCRs or VHS home systems. Good morning, David. Also, they were talking about how the original VHS players were $1,500.
wow. Wow. Wow.
Good morning, everybody. I'm saying good morning to David again, too. So, okay, so that gives us some really good information, Mike. It needs to have a deadline. It needs to be the name of the company. It needs to be what your expectation of dollar amount is, how they will become happily involved. Those are all of the things that we like to talk about. So the next question, or the next thing we have on our agenda here, Mike, is what do we consider to be something that's worthy of forecasting? Meaning, is it worthy? And I say this because I think as salespeople, we might all have had an issue where we're thinking, oh, well, I don't want to really put one fax machine down if it's only worth $100. I mean, why should I commit that to paper? So how do I know if it's worthy to commit to paper?
The number I used to hear all the time, I've heard different numbers. I've heard as low as 50, but generally 70 to 80%. With a forecast, it's something that there is a very probable opportunity or chance that you are going to be able to serve that client and close that deal. So I would say if you believe 70 or 80%, there's a chance that should go down there. If not, put it on another list. Just put it on a working list. But, whether the fax was 100 or 2,000 or whatever, all of those add up. And, for me, an NRG member is $500. So for me, I may go as low as, I think there's a 50% chance they're going to join. I'd rather have them down than not have them down, because how often do you not call someone and then they call you and they go, oh, you were supposed to call me? That's the one thing in sales that hardly ever happens with me, where someone will call and say, you forgot to call me.
Yeah,
I
I've never,
follow up.
I don't
Yeah.
even believe that's a possibility in your
No,
world, Mike.
no, and the thing is, people are so worried about follow up, but what's worse is someone saying, you know what, Mike or Julie or Joe, you forgot to call me. and I was ready to
Yeah.
buy, but since you didn't, I bought elsewhere. How do you feel then?
Right.
So never,
Oh,
ever, ever
sick.
apologize. Yeah, don't apologize for that. But if it's a 70 or 80% chance, or even as low as 50, I would put it down in writing, because a forecast, if your goal is to make $10,000 a month for the year, 120, and you don't have at least double that, you're probably not going to get there. So a forecast actually is a blueprint to let you
I
know what
see.
you're working on, what you're not working on, and how much more you need to go. And there's nothing wrong with strong goals and dreams, but if you don't back it up with action, you're not. There's an old saying: you don't want to have a firm grip on an empty sack. And I heard that in the Amway business 30 years ago. You think
Wow,
you've
that's
got
a
10
good one.
prospects. That's a good one. No one ever hears that anymore. You think you got 30 prospects and none of them are going to buy, and all you've done is diluted, and you've disillusioned yourself and your sales
Right.
manager if you work for someone. So don't be that, don't have that firm grip on an empty sack. Make sure you got stuff with substance on your forecast.
When I worked for George W. King Printing Company, I had a manager named Greg Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this, and I, you and I talk about forecasting all the time. I completely forgot about this thing with Greg until just this very second. When I was working for them, they would have us do a forecast. I totally forgot about it. And you would put the percentage of possibility. So where you were talking about if you think that it's 75% likely that it's going to come to fruition, Greg would have us write down the project we had quoted or spoken to someone about. And even if it was a 10% possibility, you would put that in a separate column, and you would put the dollar amount next to that, because your forecast, if it's a 10% possibility that it's a $2,000 job, that's $200 of possibility of forecast there. And it was interesting because I had forgotten all about that. You're such a good sales manager, Mike. Thank you for bringing me back to that.
My
I really do
pleasure.
appreciate that. So guys, there's two ways you can do it apparently. Hi, Anne Marie. Mike's idea is really cool. So Mike is saying have two working lists, one of possibilities, one of your forecast, 75 and higher percentage of what you think will come to fruition. Love it. Okay, moving forward. How do you get there? This was something that Mike wanted to talk with us about today. He said it's not enough to discuss the client, the deadline, the revenue, the project, and what we consider to be likely. But Mike asked us to consider how we would get there and what our plan was. So, Mike, I'm wondering when you worked, his name was Rob, right? Rob was the salesman.
Ron. Yeah,
Rod.
Ron.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you worked for Rod, did he actually have you do a step-by-step or no?
Yeah, what he would do is every Monday morning we would go in with a list, and maybe you had 20 on there, maybe you had 40, but if they were on there week after week after week, he would go, well, are they really still in the pipeline? And those would be
Okay.
when I didn't have a lot of those sales skills down in the beginning, he would jump on the phone and say, hey Joe, I'm sitting here. This is Ron, Granick. Mike Weiner and I are sitting together. He's had your name on a forecast for 4 weeks in a row. Just trying to find out, are you planning on doing
Are
some
you
business
for
with
real?
us? Yeah, are you for real? Is Mike making your name up, right? And
Right, Mike Megan.
the guy would go, actually, no, now's a good time. It's summer. I'm ready to move forward. Or, nah, we're probably not. Put us down for the fall. And Ron
That's
was really
cool.
good. See,
That
what you
really
want to
helped.
do, yeah, it
Right.
helped me, and it made me realize, Raphael, who's taught me law of attraction, all you're doing is making an offer to someone. Hey, are you interested in joining NRG? Are you interested in working with word of mouth? Are you interested in a survey or a SIA or printing or whatever it is? All you're doing is making an offer. That's it.
Right.
Why do so many people get hung up? Oh my God, what if they say no? Well, what if someone cuts you off on the road today? Well, they were rushing to get to the hospital. Give them love, give them thanks, and send them on their way. It's how you look at things. So to answer
Awesome.
your
So
question, yeah, go ahead.
I meant when I said step by step, I should have been more clear. So I wondered if Ron would actually have you itemize, this is what I plan to do today and tomorrow, and then like a
Yes.
strategy sheet, like
Yep.
how many calls, how many referrals, that kind of thing to get to your target. And then with a particular specific client, would he have you do a sales strategy for that one. But let's talk about that next time. Let's keep moving forward, and we'll come back on that one because you did give me a pretty little list. You guys, I do have working notes the Mike gives me to stay on track. Mike, you wanted to talk about the tools of the trade, the tools that you specifically like to use to bring the sale in for a landing, as it were. So, what are some specific tools? And what we did write down about that was some specifics as far as closing techniques, which you just mentioned that Ron used, which was a kind of a cross between a third party phone call or a three-way phone call and something else.
Yeah.
So what is that tool? How would you well, actually, let me back up. If you're not familiar with what a three-way phone call would be if Mike and I worked together and we were trying to close a piece of business and I needed some help. I might call Mike and the prospect and have Mike kind of help me close that business. But what is another tool other than the three-way call that that you've used before, Mike?
Before I answer that, I'm going to go roll back 1 second real quick. The 6-month forecast that we're talking about today, I want people to understand they need to know what their goal is for the next 6 months of 2018, and then you got to break it down monthly, weekly, and daily. So if you're trying to do $10,000 a month for each month for the rest of the year, and so your goal is to make $60,000 additional for the rest of the year, you've got to be able to break it down to a monthly, a weekly, and a daily. And that way the numbers will not lie. They will tell you, hey, Mike, you're on target to make your forecast, or Mike, you're not on target and you need to increase more. And these are conversations that you and I can have with the viewers at another time, but it's very important to break it down monthly, 6 months, monthly, weekly, daily. And those are success is hidden in your daily habits. I learned that a long time ago. And if someone's like, well, I'm nowhere near what I'm going to do, I'm just going to blow the day off. Well, you just blew off a couple more days. You want to get it to where you know what you're doing every single day. To answer your question as far as tools, something that I learned back with Margie Ann and Don with Sandler Training was the upfront contract. So, Joy, if you were coming to my NRG meeting, hey, you know a little bit about NRG. When you come out to the meeting in Columbia on Wednesday, if you like what you see, you already know it's $500. Is there any reason you wouldn't expect to move forward? It's an upfront contract. If someone's watching this and they're selling printing, hey, when we meet today, and the pricing's competitive and you like what I have and the quality is there any reason we can't move forward? No, I think we'll be able to move forward. So upfront contracts are very important. Otherwise, what happens is you have a very long forecast. You really don't know what the percentage is. You're guessing, you're shooting, into the wind. So you want to have that. The ability, there's an old thing, ABC, always be closing. I look at things today as serving people because, just to go meet with someone for an hour, talk with them and never ask, hey, what are your thoughts? Are you at a point where we can move forward? When would you like the product shipped? Do you need a surge protector with the copier? Are you going to need side chairs with the furniture? Do you need HR along with the payroll? You can use another service to close whatever your main product is. So I think people need to go in proud of what they're selling because you sell yourself, your company, and your product. And if there's a chip in the armor, you're not going to get the deal. And that's what happens.
That is amazing.
People walk away and they're like, I don't know why I got the deal. And you and I will kind of peel the onion, strip line, and go, well, what did you say? What did they say? You know what? If you know those things going in, you're going to increase your chance. I disagree with people there. A lot of times they go, well, I can't close it on the first deal. And my question is, why not? In sales, you ask questions, you're filling a niche. Maybe you can't. If you're a financial advisor and, maybe they need more time, but maybe they don't. Okay. You're not going to know until you ask. And that's why, you could say, well, is there anything that would stop us? Yeah, I need to talk to my wife. I need to talk to the CEO. We need to see if it's in the budget. Great. But why not find those things out up front so that you're not frustrated asking empty questions and so forth? So I think the upfront contract.
But I'd like to
questions.
I'd like to ask our viewers. I'd like to ask everyone who's watching because we have a nice big crowd today. please let us know not only where you're actually viewing from, like David, I know is viewing from Chicago. Please let us know where you're viewing from, but please let us know if you've ever heard of the upfront contract and if you've ever tried that before and where you think that might work in your business. I just made a couple notes of some terminology that Mike was using that I think would be really great for us to come back and visit. That's the breakdown of daily goals, always be closing, and of course the upfront contract. So at this moment, I do want to move forward. I want to let everybody know we are going to come back and talk about forecasting again. This is a really intense conversation. It really is the thing that can be the undercurrent, the riptide under everything that flows in your sales day. But right now, I'd like to talk about both a book review and an app review or a software that Mike and I would like to recommend to you all and why. Mike, you were just talking about a book with me this morning. Can you remember which one that was? I know you can.
Yep. The Science of Getting Rich. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a book that
Ah,
Raphael recommended that I read, and there was some specific chapters. It's by Wallace Wattles, Wattles. And I've actually got a quote that I'm going to read. I don't usually do bedtime reading during our day. And I think I'm going to need the glasses real quick. But from chapter 14, The Impression of Increase. I'm going to read it fast. The normal desire for increased wealth is not an evil or reprehensible thing. It is simply the desire for more abundant life. And because it is the deepest instinct of their natures, all men and women are attracted to an individual who can give them more of the means of life. There's times where you're just like, I really like that person. I really love Julia. Julia is going places. She's got things on the move. She's got a lot of energy and excitement. The reason
well,
for that
thanks.
is because Julia is all about increase. Julia is increasing value to people, increasing wealth, increasing relationships, increasing feeling good, and so forth. And if someone perceives you as increasing, they're going to want to be around you. That's part of the law of attraction. And that's what I try to create every day with my networking business with NRG. And really, if you're not showing that or people are not getting that, you may be losing a lot of deals. So focus on what can you increase for your clients. Is it revenue? Is it profit? Is it customers? Is it whatever it is? And that's what I got out. That's one of the biggest things I got out of that book. Think and Grow Rich, they talk about going 110%. What are you doing extra? Just being normal, it's not going to get it done today. You got to go the extra mile. So that we'll do that book review another time. But
There you
think
go.
about how you're adding increase to your clients or prospects world.
So if any of you would like to read that book, it's The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, Wattles. I actually have that on my Audible and would be more than happy to share that with anybody. So you can just send me a private message or you can comment down below that you'd like to read that book. Mike and I both, it was so surprising when he said, I want to review this book. And I said, wow, that's on my list. It's on my Audible. I'm going to get to that. I'm reading a couple of other books right now, but that's definitely on my list. Now, what I'd like to review or share with you all is Bitly. And many of you might have seen a Bitly before or heard of that, Bitly, Bitly. It's a way of taking a very long link and abbreviating it down to very, very small. And what that does is it makes it easier for you to send a link in a text message or for you to send a link in an email and have it look a lot more polished and it's shorter. So I have definitely heard that, I know that you've seen them. You might even not realize that you've seen a link shortener, but Bitly is actually free. And one of the reasons that I love it so much is because I can track how many clicks I've gotten. So I don't know if you all have seen, but I'm with Acervia and I do Bluetooth proximity marketing. And one of the projects that I work on with Acervia is the creative team. I actually work on all of the blogs that we put out into the public. So what that does is that means that when we talk to somebody who's using the Go proximity marketing tool with success in a specific vertical market, dentistry, veterinarian, restaurant, food truck, float tank, real estate agent, network marketer, whatever it is, we'll actually write a blog about that topic. And then the link though is super duper long. So when I want to share that information with somebody specific to their vertical market, I use the bit.ly shortener. And then it tells me two things. It gives them the ability to see that link and it's teeny tiny, but it gives me the information whether or not they opened the link I sent to them. So it gives me that bit of information that the feedback I need, because I'm always looking for feedback on did somebody see my information. So that actually is my review. If you would like to know how to use bit.ly or another link shortener and you need some assistance with that, please reach out to me. I know a lot of you get in touch with me about how to do Facebook Lives, how to set this up, how to change your Facebook cover photo, whatever it is, you can always reach out to me and Mike. We would be more than happy to help you. We do offer private and group coaching. I don't know if Mike and I have ever even mentioned that before, but if you'd like to have us come and speak to your team or do it virtually, we absolutely are available to do that. Again, I want to thank Anne Marie and David Alwine and Jason and a bunch of folks who are on here would like some information from us today. Thank you all so much. Mike, we're coming in for a landing, and I know we've talked about some of the challenges and things that we've been working on. A challenge we did was the 50 calls in a day versus 10 calls per day over a period of time. We also have talked about doing some spotlight recognition. So at this point in time, I'd like to do some spotlight recognition. For somebody who hasn't missed a single Facebook Live. And I mentioned him quite a bit, but David Stormruffin, you are the bomb.
Congratulations.
Mike and I are so grateful to you, and I don't know if we've actually come right out and said it. Wouldn't you agree with me, Mike?
Absolutely. David's been there every single week. He's in Chicago too, right? The Windy City. But no, David, we appreciate you being on every single call. And I know you and Julia work very close together. And thank you so much for your support and making the commitment to being on every